Krown Produce secures produce locally and from around the world for Canadian retailers. Krown Produce is also proud to secure sponsorship of university football on Shaw. Krown Produce, supporting Canadian retailers and Canadian amateur football.
Legendary punk band DOA have a brand new studio album out now. We Come in Peace. There's also a brand new live album by DOA. Welcome to Chinatown, DOA Live. Get them at suddendeath.com.
We've got Atlantic Muscles on D. We've got the voice of football in Toronto. And we've got the boss of the CIS. Krown Countdown U starts counting down now.
Hey everyone, welcome to Krown Countdown U. I'm Ryan Sullivan, that's Andrew Wadden. Andrew, let's start in the AUS, and I would love to hear two completely ridiculous random analogies. Go.
Okay, SMU's playing Acadia over last weekend, right?
True.
The Washington Generals, hear me out, play the Harlem Globetrotters a lot, right? They've beaten them maybe 4-5 times. Now, Wile E. Coyote's always chasing the Roadrunner.
True.
Never catches the Roadrunner.
True.
Will Acadia be the Washington Generals, or will they be Wile E. Coyote?
SMU looking to remain perfect against the Axemen this season. Pick this one up early in the first queue. Acadia on the run. Oh gosh, Zach Skibbin with the gravy fingers. The latest edition of the all-name team. Prince Buffo recovers it for the Salty Dogs, but the turnover results in nada. Martin Pesic gets to Hec Crighton, the first of 4 sacks on the day for the Axemen. A couple minutes later, the home side scratched the scoreboard first. Ryan Bejen with this 3-banger. I hope you like field goals, people, because here's another one. Bejen this time from 35 yards out, 6 bagel for the boys in red. Right before the end of the half, the Axemen think they get 6. Evan Brown to Taylor Renault. He goes 29 yards to Moneyland, but hold up. The Zebras blew the play dead with an inadvertent whistle, which should be 7, ended up in just 3. Axemen take a 9-0 lead into the Moosehead break. Second half now, Huskies with the kickoff. Corey Morgan fields it from his own 16, and he gone. Morgan goes from inside his own 20 into the Salty Dogs red zone, but hold on a second. The Axemen get called for an illegal block. Take a look at it. That brings the entire play back. And the Huskies get a couple of points out of it as the Axemen concede the always exciting safety. I know, try to contain yourself, folks. Things only get worse for the home side. Scott Kelly fields the SMU punt. Whoops! Kelly drops the leather. Huskies recover. That leads to this 3-banger. Axemen lead cut to 4. Next series for SMU. Melvin, take it to the Banqua. That's an 18-yard hustle for the man with one of the best names in the history of football. That set up this. Put another 3 on the board. I told you we had field goal highlights aplenty here, folks. Axemen lead down to just 1. Flash forward a couple of minutes. The Huskies use an 8-play, 44-yard drive to set up this game-winning boot from Chase Kojes, his 3rd of the game. The Huskies score 11 unanswered in the second half and beat the Axemen, sweeping the season series. Kojes was the hero for the Salty Dogs, nailing all 3 of his field goal attempts on the day. Michael Dawes rushed for 80 yards on 17 carries in the win. For the Axemen, points off of turnovers are what killed them. SMU produced 6 points off of Acadia's 2 fumbles, which sealed the win for the Huskies.
Out to Sackville, New Brunswick we go. Mount Allison with a big win, 42-13 over St. FX. The big standout for Mount 8, Jordan Botel, 20 rushes on the day, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Josh Blanchard, 8 catches, 150 yards, 1 major.
All right, let's take a look at the big board in the AUS. St. Mary's riding a 3-game winning streak. sit atop the standings at 4-2. X is at 500 after that loss to Mount A, while Acadia and the Mounties are battling it out at 2-4.
Well, we here out west always care what happens in Toronto sports when it comes to football. The Argo Cup was on the line, York hosting Toronto. Let's get right to it. Toronto visiting York U. The Argo Cup on the line. York Stadium was in an absolute frenzy. Toronto trailing 14-2, but Trevor Harvey rallies his boys with a huge punt return. Harvey's makes your punt return a beautiful thing. A few plays later, and Simon Nazar hits Paul to pass in the end zone from 28 out. Toronto trailing by just 5. Keep an eye on the York punter here. A horrible snap, and then Toronto eats him for breakfast. Aaron Jarvis with the block and pickup. It would result in a 3-banger for the Varsity Blues. Toronto keeps pressing. A few drives later, and it's Anthony Nacarado taking the fake punt for a pickup of 28. It would set up an easy goal line push from Marcus Hobbs. Toronto leads 21-14. Varsity Blues get greedy with an onside kick. Watch Albert Owachi climb the ladder. He pulls it down. BB football. That would lead to Paul to pass second touchdown. This one's from 29 yards out. Then, off a fake field goal, York's kicker tosses up a moon ball. That's easily picked, a gift for Chris Johnson. He decides he's going to take it back all the way as a thank you. 88 yards later, and boom goes the Varsity Dynamite. They lead 34-14 at the beer break. New half, same deal. Alex Perchalski grabs this one in the end zone. Toronto goes on to take home the Argo Cup, 56-35, your final score. Miles Gibbon was all right on the day, 314 yards and 2 majors. It just wasn't enough, though. Paul to pass, the man for TO, 155 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns of his own. Let's hear from the coaches.
Talked about in terms of this team is a team that has an opportunity to do something that hasn't been done at the university in a little while. You know, we have an opportunity to go 500, and we also have an opportunity to be a team that's been competitive in the OUA, and people will view as competitive. And so I just think the finishing part, again, is not only in games, but now to finish the season strong, and we talked in those terms, and I think everybody's on board. Everybody wants to do this thing the right way and finish up strong, and then see where we end up.
Had some discipline issues in terms of penalties, offsides, unnecessary roughness penalties that were drive killers and drive extenders, and most of all, special teams just fell apart. And we definitely made some changes on special teams, some changes for the better, but I guess just need a little more time to get better on teams.
The Mac attack took to the road in the K-Dub. Early first Q, G-Hawks up a 3-spot. Marshall Ferguson finds Josh Vanderweerd. JV goes for 30 yards. Very next play for the Maroonies. Ferguson threads the needle. No, he doesn't actually. Mike DeCroce, like a Becker's on Thanksgiving, is wide open. That's 7 for the visitors. Second Q, Ferguson to the air. And it's a lovely day, and the sun is shining. A little Bill Withers for you there, people. Tyler Loveday with the major. Mac up 11. Inside 2 minutes before the half, Mac puts 6, soon to be 7 more on the board. Wayne Moore gets a little help from his friends. Mac scored 22 unanswered in the first half. Not much went the G-Hawks' way on the day. However, check out this play from Isaac Dell. Jump a little higher, Spud Webb. You know your team's played a poor game when that's the only positive highlight we got to show. Ferguson tossed for just under 200 yards while throwing 2 touchdowns. Wayne Moore rushed for 80 yards and 1 touchdown on the day. The first-year back has over 200 yards in his last 2 games. Dylan Campbell rushed for a game-high 95 yards. He leads York's Errol Brooks by 164 yards in the race for the OUA rushing title. Laurier season comes to an end, one they would soon like to forget.
Queens visiting Waterloo. These highlights courtesy of Vincent Van Gogh. No oil paint fans? All right. Waterloo with the block punt to start the highlight pack. Then it's Glory and Gunza with a lovely grab and run. Touchdown, Waterloo. They got one. Yeah, so this game ended 78-21. Sorry to deceive you with the highlight pack, or am I? No, I'm honestly very sorry. The Gales gave Waterloo a ruler slap with the yards on the ground. They outrushed the Warriors 499-9. As for the total offense, well, Queens tallied 801 yards, Waterloo a respectable 160. Queens moves to 6-1, Waterloo the opposite. They are now 1-6.
The Griffins are still undefeated with a 48-12 shellacking of the young Ravens. Jazz Lindsay tossed for just under 200 yards in the win. His brother Saxon with 91 of those yards on 6 catches and the 1 major. Rob Farquharson rushed for a game-high 122 yards on 12 carries while scoring 2 touchdowns. Nate Bahar was in beast mode for the Ravens. The first-year receiver grabbed 12 catches for a game-high 152 yards in the loss.
All right, let's take a look at those OUA standings. Guelph, Western, they are still atop the table, 7-0, perfect. Carleton, you have nice uniforms, but you're at the bottom. You are 0-7.
The Canada West took the turkey break off, so let's refresh ourselves on the standings, shall we? Calgary has the conference on lock. They will play host for the first round of the playoffs. With just 2 games remaining, will the Golden Bears of Alberta be able to break their dubious losing streak? Stay tuned.
Let's take a look at the RSEQ standings. Laval, a perfect 6-0. Montreal and Bishops battling for sole rights of second place at 4-2. And Concordia, you're 0-6. Here's your CIS top 10 passers in the country. Total yards, Will Finch, 2,500 on the nose. As for your top 10 rushers in the country, Mercer Timmis, you are having one heck of a season, Dr. Goal Line. 881 yards, 14 touchdowns on the year. That leads to CIS. Here's your top 10 receivers in the country for total yards. George Johnson getting the job done, 756 yards. Paul DePass, you got to give the man some credit.
Take a glimpse at the CIS defensive leaderboard. Carleton linebacker Leon Senarini atop the board in tackles. The favorite for AUS MVP, Rob Jubenville out of St. Mary's, is the top of the pops in the sack department. Jesse St. James out of Acadia leads the nation in tackles for loss. Also out of Acadia, Brett Backman is taking care of business in the interception department, though 5 others are also working overtime when it comes to thieveries. Hey, what? No BTO fans out there?
So Ryan, those were some fantastic boards that we just ran. Woo, riveting.
Did we just watch CIS football or Dennis Rodman in action? Board Central.
That's a good board reference.
Thank you. Coming up next, 3-minute warning and the roundtable.
Whether it's your first home, a refinance, or an investment property, Kia Grant & Associates can find a mortgage solution for you. In association with Berico Paragon, the work she does for you is free. Find her on Facebook at Kia Grant Mortgages.
So Pierre, how has the adjustment been from governing one sport to governing such a wide tent of sports?
You know what, it's a big learning curve, just in terms of understanding the different field of play, not in terms of technically, but in terms of football coaches, how they think differently than swimming coaches. But I can tell you that what is still exciting me every day is the passion of the athletic directors and the passion of the presidents that making the CIS such a great platform for sports in Canada and really raising the bar in terms of, servicing the student athletes, giving a great student experience. That's, every day I kind of get excited about that. And I also think that probably if there's one thing that we need to engage a lot more is our retired athletes, just to give back to the sports community and to the universities, not just in terms of Western or Laval, but in terms of the CIS in general.
Now, this is going to be your first Vanier Cup, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the folks over at Laval are going to make this one pretty easy for you, which is good in your first year. But what do you have planned down the road for the 50th Vanier Cup, which is next year? Is it an open bid process? Have you decided on a city? And what sort of festivities are going to be around the 50th Vanier Cup?
Well, we're really excited about the 50th because there's so many platform attached to it. Some of the themes we want to do is a little bit around the military, for example. It's the 100th anniversary of the start of World War I, the 75th anniversary of the start of World War II. So there's got to be a theme celebrating that a bit, celebrating the Canadian military. we've got an amazing history of football in Canada. So again, I think there'll be a lot of work bringing captains of the last 50 years, and maybe the coaches the last 50 years. So anytime we look at our history, I think that's the type of thing I'm trying to work with. We have several cities still in the discussion, and some a little bit more involved than the other. And then, so we're looking forward to maybe announcing it by the time we get to the Vanier Cup this year.
And also you have the 140th anniversary of the McGill-Harvard game as well that really set things into motion.
That's you know what, I know McGill has been trying to get Harvard to get involved for doing something, but I heard not long ago that Harvard had decided not to get into this for now.
Oh, backing away from the challenge. The CFL CIS Vanier Cup pairing was fairly successful here in Vancouver in 2011. It was very successful in 2012. Down the road, do you see the CIS pairing up with the CFL again on a Grey Cup? Because it is a Herculean task. There's a lot of organization that has to go into one of these things.
You know what? I think we have to look at all of our options, and that's certainly a really good option. What happened last year, the 100th anniversary, was magical. You're right. In 2011, it was. I heard it was fantastic. I think we have to look at all these things, especially going into. If you look at what's going to happen the next 4 or 5 years ahead of us, in 2015, it's a great year, but in 2016, it's the 40th anniversary of the Olympics in Montreal. That might be a good platform to attach ourselves there, and I don't know what the Alouettes are doing there. I think 2017, it's the 150th anniversary of Canada. It's 275th anniversary of Montreal again. I think the Hamilton group are certainly interested with the brand new stadium. So I think there's a lot of great things ahead of us, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's possible. I would never take that out, only because I think we have to work closely with the CFL. But even I think the other group is Football Canada. I think we have to be I don't want to say the glue, but the pathway for a 12-year-old to see themselves into the CFL. I think we need to make it not necessarily easy, but make it where they feel like, okay, I'm going to play football in high school, in club, University in Canada, and boom, I'm going to go to the CFL. So that's certainly the type of thing we're doing, and we're doing a lot of work with the CFL at trying to streamline that a bit.
One file that you're working on right now is eligibility, and the word is out right now that the CIS is examining ways to perhaps abandon what we call on this show the 5-7 or the 5-8 rule and move towards an age-based rule of the age of 24 being the final year that you can play CIS football. Tell me how that is developing and the reasons why you're going down that path.
Well, I'm not sure there's ever a perfect method. We're trying to facilitate the administration of the age for each of these student athletes. Different provinces have different startup for whether it starts in September and October, and how do you make up your age. So I think we're trying to find ways to facilitate the administration of that. That's number one. We're also looking at making sure that an 18-year-old coming in terms of safety, has the ability to play properly. I think when sometime you're looking at a 26 or 27-year-old man, I think we're always looking at making sure that there's a duty of care for our student athletes and want to make sure there's great safety attached to it. So these are all options that we're considering and discussing within our eligibility committee.
Pierre, thanks very much for this. Appreciate your time. We look forward to catching up with you in Quebec City.
Thank you very much. It's going to be a great one.
Hey, welcome back to Krown Countdown U. It's time again for that lovely, delightful round table. We have Andrew Wadden in-house, we've got Jim Mullin in-house, and live via Skype from the East Coast of TSN Radio, we got Mike Hogan on the line. Mike, how you doing?
Very good, thank you.
All right, let's start things out with opening kickoff. Let the drama set in. Okay, here we go. Conference to conference, let's look at the Hec Crighton candidates. We'll start things out in the Canada West. Andrew.
My pick for the Canada West candidate for the Hec Crighton this year is not Mercer Timmis. It's actually Anthony Coombs, and I'm going to tell you why. He's first in all-purpose yards in the C-Dub, he's second in touchdowns, and he's third in rushing, and Jim Mullin absolutely loves him. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm the one that convinced you of this.
Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. Mercer Timmis is having a fantastic season in Calgary. Massive props to him, but I have to say that Anthony Coombs is doing something that I don't think Timmis could do. Would Timmis be putting up these numbers if he was playing on a team like Manitoba? Obviously, that's up for debate, but my pick right now is going to Anthony Coombs from the C-Dub, and I think he's got a pretty good shot of actually winning it this year.
Well, I think there's 3 players right now that are in the running for this. I don't think it's just Anthony Coombs. Of course, you mentioned Mercer Timmis with his 14 touchdowns on the ground and 1 through the air. Leading in total rushing yards, but behind Brandon Deschamps in terms of average yards per game. Now, Deschamps is a guy that could play the last 2 games and rack up a whole bunch of yards, win the Canada West rushing title, win the CIS rushing title. So UBC, who's in the thick of it right now, looking to move up from that final playoff spot, I think has the guy that may come up the middle between Anthony Coombs and Mercer Timmis.
All right, let's take a look at Ontario. Mike, what do you see out there?
I don't think there's any question that the Hec Crighton nominee from Ontario is going to be Will Finch, the quarterback of Western. This is a team with a second-year quarterback. The kid is still a teenager, and he is averaging well over 50 points a game. In fact, of the 7 games that they've played so far, they've scored at least 50 points in 6 of those games. He's already been to 2 pro training camps with Hamilton and Toronto. He's not 20 yet. He is remarkable. He's at 70% completion. He's throwing for 357 yards a game, and they're calling the dogs off, and 18 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions. He's the best young quarterback to come through this conference in a long, long time.
Well said. I got my purple underwear on. Always do. Andrew, over to you. Let's look at the RSEQ.
I didn't want to know about the purple underwear.
I'm sorry.
Myself, really.
No one does.
But in the RSEQ, I think my pick this year is going to have to be Jordan Heather. I mean, look at what Bishops is doing this season. Heather is one of the best quarterbacks in the entire conference. He's basically underrated because he plays for a team like Bishops, who doesn't really seem to get the notes that, say, maybe someone like Laval or Montreal will get. But Heather's going to be my pick out of there. And hopefully we can see Bishops maybe cause some damage in the playoffs this year. And if they do, it's going to be because of that man.
If Rotran Sene would have stayed healthy,
I agree.
Rotran Sene would have had this sewing up, I think. Even though Jordan Heather leads the CIS in average yards per game. He's only played 5 games, but he still leads in average yards passing per game. So Jordan Heather right now is the top of the class there.
Well, if we're playing the health ticket, maybe undisputed, it's Brandon Deschamps. We come back to Canada West again. Nonetheless, let's move over to the AUS. Jim?
Well, you know, the Hec Crighton Award usually goes to an offensive player. And I don't think we can do that in the AUS this year. Rob Jubenville, even though he was injured in his last game last week, gets my nod right now for the top player coming out of the AUS. He's a linebacker that leads the AUS in sacks and is up at the top of the charts in terms of national numbers as well. And also, when you take a look at St. Mary's defense, they are number 1 in the country.
All right, now let's stop pumping tires. Let's deflate some. Objectionable conduct time. Things that are just getting under your skin, perhaps a little bit grinding the gears. Jim, start with you.
Well, there's a bit of a review going on right now at UBC about their core programs and how they are going to move forward with their athletic department and their varsity programs. And one of the rumors out there, and it is just a rumor, is that football may be on the block. Now, this at the same time, when there's also a rumor out there that UBC is very interested in landing the CIS Men's Basketball Championship at the Doug Mitchell Thunderbird Arena. How can you reach out on one hand and say, we want to stage a national championship for one prominent sport, and on the other hand, there's the speculation out there that they could be chopping a football program that's going to be celebrating its 90th anniversary next year. Hopefully, this is all rumor and innuendo, but if there's any truth to it, UBC, you're under objectionable conduct.
I like it. Well said. Mike, out in Toronto.
If there is a national game of the week, make it the national game of the week. Don't pick it up in game 3. Don't take holidays off. If you're going to run it, run it. The kids don't take the week off. Don't you take the game off. Also, if a game is in the National Game of the Week, there's no question every game in the CIS should be up on the interweb. It's not 1974 anymore. Get the live stats up there, get the games up on the web. It's imperative that people who might be tempted to dip into their pocket as a donor and give money to your program, they better be able to see the damn games. So get the games up on the web, and if it's a national game, do it every week.
You're spouting poetry, my friend. An argument I back up 10 times out of 10. Andrew, over to you.
No, I have to 100% agree with Mike. This weekend was a bit of a disgrace. I mean, you got Toronto-York, the Argo Cup, the blue and white or blue and red game, whatever you want to call it. You have to have that game on television. This is the biggest market in the entire CIS in Toronto. It was supported by the fans. They got over 2,400 people at York Stadium, but no television, no highlights even on Thursday night. That is objectionable conduct at its most, really.
Hey, we got the highlights, though.
Yeah,
hey, give us credit. We've got the highlights.
Yeah, you can watch them on our show, that's for sure.
I just say give Mullin like a white board, a poster board, and some crayons, and he can draw out the highlights, and then flip them together like one of those books where the
what are the flip books? Yeah.
There you go. There's your highlight package.
I could use my art degree for that.
Yeah. He can draw. I've seen it. He can draw.
All right, game of the week. Start things out with Andrew Wadden.
All right, I'm looking at Friday night in the AUS in Atlantic Canada, Mount A at SMU. The reason why I am picking this game is because if Mount A is able to beat SMU again, because they have beat them this season, and Acadia beats X, that's going to put 3 of the 4 teams at 3-4. And if you've looked at the schedule through the season, they've all kind of beaten up on each other in different ways. So that game is going to set the tone for the playoffs and for a crazy last weekend in the AUS. So that is my game of the week right there, happening in Atlantic Canada.
Timothy Mullin.
We will focus on UBC Alberta because the last time these two teams got together, it was a thriller. UBC rolling back from a 27-point deficit to tie the game up with 0.6 seconds remaining and winning in overtime. That's the game we've got coming up on Shaw this Saturday afternoon.
There you go. Mike, take us home.
I would say that the game of the week across the country is the obvious one. It's in Kingston. Queens takes on Guelph. Guelph has never finished a season undefeated. They've got the opportunity to do that. This will be, for in all likelihood, the home game in the rematch should the conference go as expected and Western and Mac and Queens and Guelph be the final 4. Then this would be for home field. So it's huge. It's a big game for Guelph for historical purposes. And Queens has the only natural grass surface in the OU, so that's a big advantage for them. So they'd love to play at home. Guelph would love to play at home where the crowds are really starting to get into it as they turn that program around. 2 top 5 teams in the country, absolutely in Ontario. It's not close. It's Guelph at Queens.
We're on the home stretch, and it is heating up. Thank you very much, Mike Hogan from TSN Radio in Toronto.
Loved it. Thanks, guys.
Anytime. Andrew Wadden studio, Jim Mullin studio. I'm Ryan Sullivan. Thanks for joining us here on Krown Countdown U. Now here's your CIS Top 10.
Number 10, Windsor, just like last week. Number 9, Mac, no, they didn't move. 8, Bishops, in the same spot. 7, Saskatchewan, not up or down. 6, Montreal, do I detect a trend? 5, Queens, this is familiar. Number 4, Guelph, deja vu. 3, Calgary, here again. 2, Laval, repetez-vous. Number 1, Western, get used to it. Thanks for watching Krown Countdown U as Countdown has Countdown.